Hey everybody, welcome to episode 11 of the Bonehead podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. And jingle. Welcome back. I'm Ben, and once again, I'm joined by Blood Tithe Ben. How you doing, BT?
Hello, good evening. Yeah, doing really well. Doing really well. Thank you.
And we've also joined by, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a cool sci-fi reference. Lightsaber seems too obvious. Cylon seems a little bit too intimidating. Anyway, we're joined by TO Extraordinaire, Triple Pow. Trips, how you doing today?
Evening, guys. I'm all good, thanks.
Oh, look at it. It's so swish. Trips has got this fancy backlight in his office now, and it's sound activated, so it like shimmers.
Yeah, every time you make a noise, it plays around. It's really good for distracting people from actually working out whether you've done the thing you've been asked to do or not.
The problem is that when Trips starts rapping, it can be quite dangerous.
Yeah.
But
Freestyle Trips is coming later.
Yeah, we are also joined by the Patreon chat. So a big hello to everybody there. We've got Brute Fun, we've got Nicholas Dunlop, we've got Karen, we've got Graham Pickett, the resident dwarf, Andrew Primack, also known as Golder Cat. How you doing? Mick T, Baron, Mark, how you doing? Chris Stevenson, I just saw a cool dungeon roster actually from Chris Stevenson come through, and very, very, very excited. What we got in chat? Brute Fun says Plants Flag, I claim this chat. Oh, Brute was there first before. We got some questions in chat as well, which we'll come back to later. Ooh, questions involving squigs, which is wicked. But anyway, today is episode 11. Now, that would be a really great one to do about like Lord of the Rings and stuff, but not so much. Today, BT, can you remember what we're talking about?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about release speed and fatigue, like how, stuff comes out. Is that too much? We'll also be going through some whatever questions we get in the chat, but also just usual news and hobby. Bit of a chill, bit of patter.
Absolutely. Look, last week, was it last week? I guess it was kind of last week, wasn't it? Last week, Blood Bowl 3 episode was 2 weeks ago? Was less positive than I think we'd normally be in most circumstances. I think most of it was pretty justified. But as we go through the news, I am going to pass it over to Trips at that point to give us a Blood Bowl 3 update. But there's some other bits and bobs to talk through first. So I tell you what, let's hit the news. Right, let's go to news, where we've got our spinny camera, because we're going to be talking about some of the
release
news.
speed.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You got the accidental reference. I didn't mean to do that at all. We've got Papa Z in chat now. Stevie 126. Adam, how you doing? T-Sticks as well. We've got a massive crew tonight. This is wicked. Karen says audio is good. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Right, I better flick this over to the other page and then select this feed here. I realise that I'm recording this, and this is actually going to go out on the podcast bit, but it'll be fine. Dorset Dungeon Bowl, I choose you, and video capture device, you are going to drop to the background and potentially need to be invisible actually for a second, because otherwise it's just going to have little spinning, awesome spinning skaven in the background. Let's get away to that. Anyway, Blood Bowl news. There's a couple of bits to look at. First of all, we've got Dorset Dungeon Bowl coming up on May the 20th, Saturday, May the 20th. I think we've sold 34 tickets already, which means it's probably, we think we can fit 50 into entoyment, right? I think.
Yeah, pretty easily.
I think we could do 50.
Okay, we can easily do more, but it means no one else gets to play anything, which is also fine.
Well, no, we've booked the whole thing out.
Oh, is it just, that is it?
It is just Dungeon Bowl at entoyment that day.
Amazing.
Which I know is really, really, really cool. Last time, because we had dropouts and stuff, I sort of said to Carl, look, we'll bunch up and you've got a few tables that you can kind of share out. But I'm expecting us to have a full house for Dungeon Bowl. which is really
That's rad.
cool. The new mats are here as well, including the new Dungeon 3, which I'm very excited for, especially because I need to build that pitch so that we've got like a nice Bridge of Khazad-dûm. So that's pretty cool. So we've got that coming up, and a quick check-in on tournaments. If you go to our website, boneheadpodcast.com/tournaments, you can find tournaments around the world. And, I actually haven't refreshed this. But what have we got? We got April's Fall Bowl coming up in Doncaster in April. There is Europe. We've got June. Heart Bowl in Canada coming up. And so the Tennessee Open. The Tennessee Open, played by Tzeentch, is happening soon as well. So Dungeon Dash in Australia is this weekend. Oh, that's cool. See, this is it. This is where we need more Blood Bowl streaming around the world so that we can check in virtually to other tournaments, right? That would be the absolute dream. But anyway, if you are going to a tournament or running a tournament, then share it on the website so that we can put the word out. And if you're looking for a tournament, jump on to the website and see what else is going on. Obviously, the NAF collect stuff, but we like to just be supportive as well. So, on to actual Blood Bowl news. And Fanath. Fanath are a great little company that just produce models, and they just dropped a team absolutely out of nowhere, which is the Britonian Nobles. I think knowing them, they normally do like a couple of different sets, but this one here is a €65 team, 16 players, 2 blitzers, 2 throwers, 4 bodyguards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 linemen, and an ogre. Blood Tithe Ben, what team do you think that would be good for?
I think this might be good for nobility. And yeah, I think it is really good. Like I when you shared this, I was like, wow, that's actually really nice. Probably my favorite nobility team out there. If I'm being honest. I think it's just really fits the bill.
That is fair. I mean, there aren't really that many nobility teams out there at the moment, is there? I think there's the
exactly
games.
Also, there's a couple of updated. I think Grebo updated their Britonian one. I think.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Yeah, I think we've seen a couple of, like 1 or 2 others maybe. But yeah, when this dropped, I was like, damn, I think I might replace my Games Workshop one because this is this is way more characterful. So.
Not the purple helmet team.
Well, I'll probably paint them the same, but yeah. Also, yeah.
So
dwell on that one.
Rename the team. So yeah, it's a Britonian themed team. You've got a couple of knights. You've got your kind of man at arms, who I guess are your bodyguard people. That's the yeomans, I guess. And they've kind of gone a Robin Hood style for the linemen. Like you've got a Hunchback of Notre Dame. You've got Robin Hood, Big Old John, Friar Tuck, and a little jester guy. Who that just makes me so happy that they've. It's the halfling. The jester, the little jester, is the halfling.
Is the halfling? Yeah.
He's the.
There is no halfling on no nobility, is there?
No, there isn't. That must be. So I guess he is just.
He's just a lineman.
He's just a lineman. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I thought, for a human team, he can be your halfling. But that would take some repositioning. Anyway, it's a pretty cool team, and €65. What is it made out of? I'm assuming resin now. Fanath resin. Yeah,
resin.
I miss the Fanath metal teams. That frog team.
Do you know if the resin's the same as they had for their dwarves, which was kind of like weirdly rubbery?
I don't know.
I think it might be Cyocast. I think. I can't quite remember, but it might be lit up anyway. And get back to you.
Well, we've
this is really cool.
We've ordered it, so it's en route.
Oh, there you
go. We'll do an unboxing when it turns up. Yeah, man, ordered it quite quickly because I thought this is pretty good, and then see if we can't ship it over to BT to get some painting. Guys in chat, what do you think about the Britonian team? Is it a little bit on the nose to actually produce a Britonian team for the team that replaced Britonians? I don't know.
It's really suitable.
It's been a bit of a gap now since we've used the Britonian phrase in relating to Blood Bowl, so we've had a clean year without them being in tournaments.
It's Britonians for Blood Bowl are like Tomb Kings for Warhammer, aren't they? It's always like they just killed them off.
Everyone loves them, but they don't support them for some reason.
Well, I don't know if everyone really did love them. Someone brought this up the other day, and I don't know, and I remember thinking I actually do have some genuine animosity towards Britonians and Britonian teams and Britonian armies because of so many years of playing against Ians and in Warhammer Fantasy Battle. And I hate Britonians. They had this banner called the Curse of Arrow Attraction or something, or something like that, and it just I think it was called something different. Something like, I don't know, it was, chivalry de la arrow
lady
ignoring.
something.
Yeah, exactly. And it just meant that they had like I can't remember what it was. It was like a -1 to hit or a ward save or something. I don't know. I just remember thinking, sweet, RBTs, repeated bolt throwers at knights, this is wonderful. And then Ian's stupid blooming banner just made it miserable, and then he just anyway, blooming Britonians, absolute garbage. Anyway, but
Baron in
cool
chat
team.
said they killed off Britonians in fantasy as well, but actually they didn't. They are now flesh eater courts, so they're technically still around.
They kind of killed off everything in fantasy except Gotrek.
Yeah.
Actually, why is Gotrek not in Blood Bowl?
Yeah, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Gotrek and Felix as like a star player duo.
How good would that be? That would be amazing. Dungeon needs a better name than Dungeon 3. Actually, we do need to name the dungeons, and I'll tell you what, we'll do that once we've built the 3D dungeons. Papa Z, we'll give them like classic D&D style names. But anyway, Britonian team, we've got an unboxing coming soon, and yeah, it's very, very, very cool. Like to see that. Then there's only one other Kickstarter thing, but it's not really a team. I thought we'd actually take this opportunity to talk about some of the Patreons that are kicking around this month, because, and this is kind of important as to the topic of the episode, which is release speed and release fatigue, which is absolutely going to be shaming Games Workshop for never releasing anything, and supporting and applauding the third parties who never stop releasing things. And the first one is going to be the Brute Fun team. So Brute Fun's Patreon. Brute Fun, I think, is in chat still. Part 2 of the Skaven team dropped, and has Glart, and has Skitter Stab, who makes a great hack flame, or actually when Skitter Stab comes back, because he's going to come back, what's better than 1-star player gutter runner? 2, which is amazing. So actually love to see that model. And I know we put the spinny cam on, but we do have the spinny cam of the actual team, except that I've lost my button. Where's the button? Go. I choose you. There we go. And then we move it up a tag. And you can actually see, if you watch it on YouTube, I've got these models that are, well, they're probably as painted as they're going to be for a little while. Primed, printed, and I absolutely love them. It's probably going a bit too fast on the spinny wheel, but I just saw an opportunity to get the spinny wheel out.
I love this team so much. This is like, it's my favorite Brute Fun team. Like, really is. I think there's so, like, I mean, we love Skaven, but just like embracing like the clan scryer is really unique, and I just think that's super cool. Every positional is gold, so, and Glart is amazing. And he has a real heft to him.
Yeah.
Printed him out. I'm just like, this guy, put him in a sock and you can get a flail going with that. Because it's pretty good. I
definitely took him off the sports and thought, that is a chunk. I definitely didn't think I'm going to put this in clothes so that I could assault people. I like it.
The old 40k metal dreadnoughts are the best for that. You wanna?
Yeah, no.
In
prisons across the world, bars of soap are being replaced with Furioso dreadnoughts, and Brute Fun Glart models. So I love that. But no, Brute Fun's team, if you've got a 3D printer, then go and back him on Patreon, because the teams are just so good. Brute Fun, I'm going to mention.
I love that team. I've got to admit, I'm not a fan of Skaven teams. I think it may be years of nervous twitching playing the Neverbay Nightmares, and being side caged and gutter runnered time and time again. But I think this might be the team that actually gets me to play Skaven on the tabletop, and I feel dirty saying that.
Well, you can get some practice in on Blood Bowl 3 trips, because I did get your chat going that actually the next team you need to be playing is Skaven.
Yes.
And, I mean, they also wanted Ben to do another 24-hour painting stream as well.
Yeah, that will come. That will come.
It's good. It's good news for everybody. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Brute Fun Part 2. Bruty, I'm going to talk about what you're brewing up next. I hope that's okay. Have you guys seen what he's working on? What the next teams are going to be?
Yeah, this is, I think, purely for you, Ben. I think
I'm very happy. There is a new Hack Fleming Part 2 as well. Actually, I've not printed him off yet. It's a Goblin team. Asterix. With squigs, and I'm so excited. And it's like Brood Fun's working on it, so they could be a goblin team, but you can also change the parts in to be a Fumble secret team, the Fumble secret team for squigs, which is just amazing. So I think what we're going to have to do is get some secret league games in later on in the year. We're going to have to get Bruty on to talk about it as well, because it's always good fun. We haven't had to catch up with him for a while, so very, very, very cool. So it's great to see. Well, it's just blooming amazing to see Skaven. Great to see a team of this quality kicking around. And then, yeah, it's just awesome. Next up, is the Punga monthly release. They've released part 2 of their orcs. Now, guys, what theme do you think Punga went with for their most recent team?
Wild Wild West.
You know it's coming, actually. No, you know that's coming. It is.
Yeah. I think I saw this somewhere. I might have to Google Translate this to be sure, but I think Punga literally translates to anchor in Spanish or something.
Oh
no, it's like Maori. I think it's like Maori or something. It's like actually like a language, but it means anchor, which makes a whole lot of sense with their like theming, if that is the case. But yeah, they do like their parrot.
I mean, it all kind of started with the Pirates, which was a pretty awesome Kickstarter. That must have been like one of the first big true Blood Bowl Kickstarters. Let's zip that on. We got the spinny cam in there. I'm gonna have to zoom out a little bit, I think, because we got the first two, some of the first 2 releases on there. Oh dear, there we go. Nicely done. Thank you, auto thing. And actually, I've been super impressed with this team. I know they've gone hard on the pirate theme, but actually, with the exception of the goblin, who is running around like Johnny Depp, which is just kind of brilliant, and the goblin dressed as a parrot on the troll's shoulders, the rest of the orcs... No, that's not fair. There is an orc captain who looks like Captain Hook. Apart from Captain Hook, the rest of them just look like orcs with kind of conquistador standard kind of theme. I really like it. I'm interested to see in the chat as well whether people are a big fan of that. Yeah, there's some good stuff there talking about that. The troll is wicked. Go for it, B.
I can confirm that, Punga in Maori actually translates to finance, so ignore everything I said earlier. I was wrong. I don't think where I saw this, I might have dreamt it. So, yeah.
Well, it is the full moon at the moment, Ben, so dreams are supposed to be much more vivid and crazy. I like that you're dreaming about Blood Bowl. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
Even if it is about pirate orcs.
Or finance, accounting orcs.
Well, given your fiance's kind of career path, that makes a lot of sense.
That's one fair. Yeah.
Anyway,
you can at least say you were listening.
Yeah.
It's just half asleep listening, thinking about Blood Bowl, listening to his wife. Yeah. And the dreams happen and combine the two. What do you think, Trips?
So I really like this team. I think we've had lots of the pirate theme, but a pirate orc theme works really well. And I've got to say that seeing them on the spinner like that, well, that's almost 3 colours, so that's like absolutely tabletop ready for you, Ben.
Well, I went to Entoyment and I bought some more paints, so I was good. And then I used the paints, 2 different colours, and there's another colour coming up as well in a second. As soon as I can actually get the page to open. Let's filters and go down. The next bit of Blood Bowl news is the Torchlight Lizardman team. Have you guys had a chance to look at the Torchlight team?
Yeah, it's cool, actually.
Yeah.
Is that to scale the Crocs to the rest of the team?
Oh no, it is not, Ben.
Okay.
No.
That would
If
be
only
quite
there was
cool.
one we could see.
Yeah, give one moment, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the team's very cool. They've got all the positionals. They've got two different Croxigor styles. No, one different Croxigor, two different Saurus styles. So you got like 6 Sauruses with a crocodile head, 6 Sauruses with a standard kind of Lizardman head. And
Well, that's good because that's the worst thing about the GW set is you basically, it's all so samey for the lizards. They're lovely models, but it's just a little bit plain.
there we go. Let's get the spinner on the go. And I think, yeah, so the team is really cool. It's Torchlight. Torchlight are quite a cartoony. Well, they are very cartoony, which actually in some places is really good. I really like it. It's kind of really like, I mean, the Khorne team that we use for 7s is Torchlight. And I flipping love it. Like, I know the Grebo Khorne team is technically the best one out there, but I actually love the Torchlight one more than any other Khorne team, which it's just charming in its own little way. So the design of this team is charming and cartoony in its own little way. Actually, Andrew, you did, I think, put a little comment earlier because I got confused when I did the print pitch. I couldn't remember what the crest was called of the skink, so I referred to it as a headwing, which it's
A head wing.
a headwing, yeah. For the skinks, they've got like arm wings, and I was like, I couldn't remember, so I just went with headwing, not headwig. Now, scale wise, what do you think would be bigger, a Saurus or a Goblin?
I would expect a Saurus, I think.
You would imagine so. So 100% scale. That is a Saurus in the orange, and that is Grot Brady spinning around in his fine livery.
Ooh.
Yeah, man. I printed them out, and I was
They are small.
They are very small. The skinks are probably about right. They feel a little bit smaller than you'd want, but skinks are small, right? So it's not too bad. But the Sauruses are just wee little things.
Yeah. That's an upscale job, I think.
Ooh, that's a chunky boy of an upscale. Like, you can bolster stuff up like 110% to make it like beefy, but that's a legit size up. That's like 125% to actually make him remotely the size of a Black Orc or something. Which I tidied my desk, and now I don't. It's the worst thing. I've normally just got like assorted models around of different scales on the desk. I tell you what, we will do as a size comparison is use Glottal Stop.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Glottal Stop.
That's
there.
Crocs.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one. It's a cool team, and you know, more Blood Bowl is more better, which is the theme of tonight's episode. But I feel like the scaling's a little bit off. Pre-sups work nicely though, which is good. It's always nice when you can just print your models without too much difficulty. And the only other one we're going to touch on today is the Ugni team. So Ugni, Brute Fun, Punga, they're all working on a 2-month cycle. Punga tend to go 3 months. And Ugni dropped a Renegade team last month and now have dropped a full-on support staff, which is just a bunch of star players. Ugni tends to do this every now and again. It's just like, I want to make a bunch of star players. Very much like Brute Fun did the other month for the Badlands Brawls guys. So we got a Lord Borak, there's a Zug, and looks like a couple of redone versions of the big guys from the Renegades team, and some cheerleaders. I thought it was worth a mention because the Borak in the middle there, I don't know if you guys can see him all right. I think is.
I love that Borak.
Borak and Zug, I think, are really, really, really good fun.
Yeah.
Ugni has this like sketchy style, not sketchy as in dubious, sketchy as in like from an artistry point of view. You know, like Torchlight is crayons. Ugni is just got this like sketchy vibe to it. Crayons in a good
There's a lot of
way,
detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of detail. And the renders are really good, actually. Like, I like how they render them. Very photographic.
Yeah, so it's cool. I thought I'd mention it because it's pretty decent, and they'll be up on our web store as well. Is along with Brute Fun and Punga, we also have the Agni range being added as we go. I won't put anything on the store that I don't know I can print well, because it's important that actually we print things, and the things that are printed are good. That's quite important. Right, last bit we got going on is a Kickstarter, which I thought was quite appropriate for kind of Blood Bowlers and Dungeon Bowly things. Trips, I'm actually a little bit surprised. Well, I guess it's not it's not futuristic, it's not sci-fi terrain, isn't it?
No.
So this is the My Dungeon Underground Adventures 3D STL Tiles Terrain. Now, they've got 10 days to go as we're recording. It finishes up on Saturday, March 18th. And it is a big old Kickstarter full of cave tiles, basically. Cave tiles and terrain. And we've actually got some STLs of this that I would be printing if both my printers hadn't died today. So that's a sad thing that I'll complain about in the hobby section in a minute. But they're kind of built to 25mm scale, but the beautiful thing about 3D printing is you can just scale it up, and the terrain is really flat and therefore incredibly usable for Dungeon Bowl. We've seen the MG Pix one, it's been great. We've got the old Mole Man one as well from Kraken Studios. None of that's caverns and caves with kind of like pools of water and stuff like that. So I saw this, thought actually that's really quite interesting. So we've got a hold of some STLs, so we'll be doing a test print, and we'll get a little review video out for the Kickstarter, because they come in 2x2 chunks basically. So most Dungeon Bowl sets are going to be pretty easy to figure out. Got to be careful with the walls, but I'd completely missed this. Ben, I know you're a bit of a D&D fan. The question for you is, do you use models and terrain when you D&D?
I don't, but I dream of it. So I want to desperately, but I actually haven't yet done so. Yeah, I spent a lot of money on doing so without actually doing so.
Oh yeah, that sounds that sounds like hobby gaming. But no, I mean, look at this layout here. I just have dreams of brewing up either like a straight up Blood Bowl pitch, a sevens pitch, a street bowl pitch in a cave, or just a Dungeon Bowl segment, because that's the cool thing about Dungeon Bowl is actually you can just do segments of it. So now we've seen this cave terrain, the Dungeon 3 has got like a low bit in two of the bits, so actually it might use some of this cave terrain for the low bits and mix it in with the MG Pix tiles for Dungeon 3 for the series, because it would be a really cool, like, right, caves at the bottom, brewing up to the rooms, and then the bridge at the top to just kind of give that height element. I think would be really cool.
That would be so fun.
That would work really well, and you can almost see how you could build a set of caves with a sort of underground Dungeon Bowl, or probably just a sevens pitch inside it, something like that, and get the older undead team out on it, and the dark elves, and that would be the theme.
That would be absolutely awesome. And this is the thing I love about Dungeon Bowl, not necessarily compared to 11s, because the gameplay is very kind of different, right? But I love wargaming, and I love the terrain element of wargaming, and Blood Bowl doesn't have that. You can have some cool stadiums and stuff, but it really doesn't have terrain until you do something like this, like play some Dungeon Bowl or something. Yeah. And it's just that sweet spot for me of like a crossover.
Like immersion. Like, yeah, it's a big dive into immersion, and I really like that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very playing on that Death Bowl pitch we did was awesome. I love that.
That was...
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love an excuse to just print something unnecessary as well. That Death Bowl pitch was great. We really do need to make sure we use it again, because that was one of Tiff's caveats. She was like, where's that going to live? And I'm like, well, in the office, the shed, the garage, our bedroom somewhere. And she was like, that's fine, just as long as you're going to use it. And I'm like, yes, we'll definitely not just use it the one time.
Oh, in that case, we'll definitely have to use it again just to prove the point.
Yeah. At least twice a year, I think. But no, it's a brilliant one. So there's some really cool stuff going on for Blood Bowl. And this is the point where we just want to say a massive thank you to everybody out there listening. We've got Patreons in the chat today, which is wicked. Everybody who joins, likes the videos, joins us for live streams, and of course those YouTube members and Patreons who help us out and means that we can do silly things like print out entire dungeons and make cool videos. That's kind of our goal. So we've had a few new folks in the last couple of weeks. We've got Hugh, John Scott, Adam De Alessandro, Kieran, Charles, Pickled Blowfish, Dallas, Sigurda, Kane Tucker, William Stilwell, Stuart, Erica R, Guy Pascoe, Chris, Merrick, Amanda Shepherd, John Flippants, Robert Elric, Kettleon Sonna, Matt Bryan, and Mikkel Arvermark, who've just joined our crew. Thank you very much to everybody supporting. It's awesome. We love it. And I've got to be honest with you, Patrons are doing an outrageously good job at the moment of building up some Dungeon Bowl rosters. I was looking at College of Shadow, and I was kind of like, I am not inspired by this, even in the slightest. That's like the standard college. I was just like, oh, I just wish it was either a Skaven team or a Goblin team. That Dark Elves are great trips. I know you're gonna, but
very good. Yeah.
Just you need a bit of something special. And I was looking at it, I was like, this is rubbish. I was like, right, okay. To the Patreons, guys, we need a good roster. And they pulled out a couple of really clever ones. Spoiler alert, there is going to be an assassin this time around.
Nice.
I know. I thought
really hoping for that.
That's clever. Like that's clever. That's clever techers. Yeah. Which is really, really, really cool. So really good stuff. Just want to do a quick chat in chat before we bounce on over to hobby. Andrew says, I have the Brute Fun Savage Goblins painted up to make an underworld team with the Skaven. Nice. Karen says, leave it to Brute Fun to make miniatures you can weaponize. Yeah, I mean, I think the Croxigor, the Crocodile Crocs star that Brute Fun did is probably the most weapon-like of any miniature. That's just an absolute beauty. Troll looks great. Wood Orcs know how to sail. Yeah, definitely. Man of War. In the olden times, the Orcs had a great sailing fleet. And Brute Fun says, question, since you touched on the store/printing, how is the endeavor working out overall? Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, it's going really well. It's really good fun. We get to kind of provide awesome Blood Bowl models out there. So, like, really, really, really happy with that. It says, can't super chat on a private stream. No, you being a Patreon is the super chat that we need. Yeah.
Yes.
Karen says, I enjoy having Brute Fun models so easily accessible to me. Seeing them on the shop is great stuff. And Anthony says, morning from Melbourne. And Baron says, now I can get it straight from you guys. So it's a great thing. It's been a lot of fun. And it's always fun to have a reason to go and print models. But I tell you what, guys, let's take a very quick break and talk about hobby. Right, magical. I'm going to put the spinny plate back on because I love the spinny plate. Hopefully, it's not making anyone motion sick. I broke
Actually, I'm just gonna be right back. Like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Well, let's chat or something today.
It's fine, Ben. We release you.
Yes.
Oh man! In news,
Can we go on? We'll just say to chat while Ben is away. We just need lots of chat about whether Ben should be doing more hobby streams because he doesn't believe that it's coming up in the chat. So if anyone wants to drop that in the chat, then we'll just have to talk about it in the hobby section.
Trips, I forgot to pass it over to you to talk Blood Bowl 3, so I guess we'll just touch on it in hobby, right?
I'm going to pick it up in games and hobby because
games and
I've
hobby
not
and
played any tables.
stream. Let's make sure that we get that out there. I loved your stream, Trips. I thought it was really good.
Excellent. Good bit of fun.
I actually found it distracting. I was trying to do stuff, and I got distracted.
Watching me roll ones is always distracting.
There is something about, I don't know whether it's just like the way you play, that the ones seem to be just really egregious, but I don't really know how you could play differently.
I could just play very, very positional, steady Blood Bowl, but that would be just less fun.
No. I look forward to Blood Bowl 3 turning into that level of correct play and elitism, but I don't think it's now. I don't think it's quite yet.
Yeah.
Caron
Happy to get
says,
to the end of the game.
isn't Ben supposed to be painting a cute team? Yes, he is. He bought the STLs. He
Yes.
backed the STLs. We need to make sure that comes up. Brute Fun hobby streams are great. More hobby videos by Ben. His Amazon one was great. Yeah, we need to make sure that we flag that up with him. Be great if there was a hobby stream of the cute team. Yeah, hobby hangouts are great. Glad you rolled some ones in our game trips, Anthony. Yes, of course, it was you. It was you, Anthony. It was an absolute gent. And didn't stream snipe you, Trips.
Yes, he was very, very good. He popped in, say hello, and then played me fair and square, which was fabulous.
I think ended up in a draw, didn't it?
And 2-2 draw, yeah. So cracking bit of catchers rushing off for touchdowns, and me not being able to dodge for the blitz.
Right, let's bounce to hobby. Okay, so hobby. Buying things, playing things, painting things, building things. Who wants to go first?
You need to tell us. I don't know.
It's going to you, Blood Tithe, because you've been doing some
okay,
real good hobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually not too much miniature hobby, but I have been doing macro hobby.
Yes.
And redoing a room in the house. So I'd say redoing, kind of doing for the first time. So yeah, we moved house, and it's this white box of a new build, and so I've had permission from a very understanding fiance to do up the guest room, like the spare bedroom we have, which is basically being used as a board game room right now. And I get to kind of make it like I want, and I had some ridiculous ideas of making it like a full-on RPG, like tavern, but I think it's still a spare bedroom, and I think living in a theme park isn't really like that comfortable. So I toned it down. I've got a mood board of dark academia stuff, which is all really lovely. I've got some artwork, which I've had for ages, which I'm finally getting framed, and that's going to like cover the walls of one of the walls, which is currently like a dark brown. So I painted that this weekend, which is really fun. Not really, but yeah, it's fun now it's done. And just today I put up, and yesterday put up curtains and new light fittings, and got some old scaffolding, some reclaimed scaffolding that I've sanded down and stained to make shelves with. So exciting. I love doing stuff like this, and it feels like it's now like, especially now like the curtains are up and
it's like
the
a
lights
proper
are in.
room now.
It looks
Yeah,
impressive.
and it's just like once the pictures are up, it's just going to be this like so cool. I've got like really like retro kind of vintage themed video game stuff, and like fantasy stuff.
Is that the room you've got the octagonal table in?
Yes, I made that board game table last year. Yeah,
complete with boy racer undercar lights.
Yeah, I got some of the Trips background lighting around the table. Yeah, and I'm hoping it'll be really cozy and really fun. And yeah, we could even like record some videos in it or something.
That
would be really cool.
that I think would be awesome, even if it's just like a little hobby room tour, Ben.
A vlog. Yeah.
That'd be wicked. We'll drive down to Ben's house and just invade.
Yeah, definitely one of the, look what Ben made. There was no plastic cement involved.
No, actually, super glue, yes. Plastic cement, no.
No, it's wicked, man. I mean, it's the best hobby of all. Like building a base of operations. Oh man, that's just so good. And I love that Trips, you were straight there with like, hey, here's a bunch of stuff you could print to make your room better.
Oh yeah. We do like enabling each other into excessive going, you could go there, or you could go 5 steps past it.
Oh no, that's amazing. Trips, how about you?
Well, talking of buying stuff and being enabled, I got some elastic putty, for airbrushing to cover up and help me make my hazard stripes, very much on the recommendation of Ben. So I was looking at some liquid mask, and the elastic putty was the way to go. And in the attempt to get free shipping, I ended up getting some additional desk hobby storage, which is halfway through being assembled, wood glue and magnets and all. So thanks for that, Ben.
Hang about. There was like 6 boxes of them.
There was like a whole second layer on the hobby day.
Only £75 still free shipping.
Yeah. Gotta justify get free shipping on my thing that costs a few quid.
I was like, I could have 1 or 2, and then I was like, I can't have it uneven, so I best second layer all the way around. And before I knew it, I was like, oh, I appear to have clicked order.
Hey, when that happens.
Oh, that's amazing. Now there's some cool stuff in chat here. What do we got? Isn't Ben supposed to be painting a cute team? This is Karen.
Someone remembered.
Hobby streams are great. More hobby videos by Ben. His Amazon one was great. Ben really needs to do a hobby stream. I missed the first one. It would be great if there was a hobby stream of the cute team. Hobby hangouts are great. I'm glad you rolled some ones in our games trip. Yeah, that's Anthony. That's Anthony. Had a great time playing against Triple Powder stream a few weeks back. My painting motivation is gone. If only someone would post a painting tutorial vid to inspire me. Yeah, I mean, more Ben.
I will do
streams.
a stream. I'm actually really keen to do that again. Especially I've got like a bigger space here, so it's more easy to set up. Yeah, I will do that. I should probably do that cute team. I did say on air I will do it. So I will do it. Probably on a stream.
And we're not getting a new team anytime soon, so you can keep the painting skills going, and then the next new team you can show us all how to paint it as well.
I am actually painting. I guess this is Hobbit. I think this is into the last podcast. I am painting up something for Milton. Painting up a slam team for him. Yeah, I don't know if I put this on camera, but yeah, these are like bright as hell, man. I don't usually paint stuff this bright, but been a real challenge, and it's been really fun.
That's the Punga Slan team, right?
Yeah, the Punga Slan. Yeah.
This is part of
Milton's. Cool models.
Milton's not allowed to buy new models until everything's painted. Trips, was that his rule? I can't remember his rule.
Yeah, he self-ruled himself that he was not allowed to buy any new miniatures until he'd painted his existing backlog. The problem is he keeps opening his drawers and finding additional boxes of things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Trips, did you find all those little boxes of storage in the elastic putty in a drawer? And by drawer, I mean
yes.
postal box.
Yeah, absolutely. They just fell out of the cupboard.
No, yeah, BT, man, the Slan team is a great team. Like, I really do like the Punga one. I think the Fanath one is I do really like the Fanath one, but as far as Slan teams go, it's pretty wicked, and I do love the color scheme you're going with. It does look very bright, which is unusual because we paint dark, dingy teams on this channel.
100%.
Which is like when we did the Amazon game, I was like, right, bright orange, brute fun Lizardman, here we go. Like, you could put those Lizardmen out in a car park and people would park around them. It would be amazing. That's how bright that team was. It absolutely put it on. The Punga Slan team is great, really nice to paint. We all have that rule about painting models. It's more like a guideline, isn't it? Caron there playing the role of the Punga anchor, being all piratey about it. Yeah, no. I found that it's okay as long as the models are primed and there's at least one kind of colour on them, mostly brown. Maybe a bit of green or a bit of orange, but at that point, the model's painted and you can move on with your life. That's my rule anyway.
That says the man with 3 printers.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about printers now. I've got 4 printers, actually. The Mars one has been retired, though, because it had a hole in the screen. So, never mind. The Mars 2 Pro, doing a wonderful job. Got 2 beautiful Saturns, who have been good as gold until I did a bad thing, guys. I printed using pre-supported models without checking them first. Because, like, I have this rule, stuff doesn't go on the store until I've printed it, made sure the quality's right, made sure the ringing's okay. Because, a badly orientated supported model can produce ringing that wouldn't be there normally, right? So you print it, check it, good to go. Bam, you can go on the store. I'm happy to do it again. I was like, oh, these are pre-sporty. This will be fine. And they were fine. The models were fine. Pre-sports were chunky. It's all right. I blame the print-to-pitch videos. And I had a failed print yesterday. Today. I had a failed print this morning. I took the thing off, and I was like, oh, that's weird. One of these models is just like cut in half. I'm like, that's really peculiar. So I was good. I took it off. I did the tank clean, and I picked the tray up, and then there was resin on the screen. I was like, oh, fiddlesticks. This is a travesty. Took it off. Did the little, gentle scraper thing, and it was all fine. The screen was fine. There's a screen protector on there as well, which is great. So it's all right. And I was like, right, no worries. I actually ordered 2 spare resin vats, but I ordered them for the Saturn 1, and these are Saturn 2s, so they're not, which is really aggravating, because I was like, well, I've got them, so that if something happens, I can just swap them over real quick. So that was no go. So I was like, no worries, I'll send them back and order the Saturn 2, that'll be fine. And then I had a failed print on the other one, and again the FEP had punctured. And these printers have been doing such a beautiful job for like a month solid that it was bound to happen at some point. And it's just like, I ordered the spares, but I ordered the wrong spares. And so, yeah. And so both the printers are out of action until tomorrow, where the replacement vats turn up and it will be good. But it's just like, it's just been like, you know what? I can't even complain about it, because I'm like, the printers have been so good for so long.
Got a lot of models out of those without any real issues. So yeah.
You treat them right. You don't use incense, because there's a high percentage alcohol in that building, and I think it would explode. Yeah, but you bless the machine spirit as much as you can. But yeah, so I've done a lot of printing, which is wicked. Print to pitch videos, I love doing them, and this new trick I've learned, which is just that people like to see the models. So instead of using just grey models that just blend into nothingness, I've started using contrast to pick out the details, and they just look so good. Like,
yeah,
and this is my problem, is that I've just got like a variety of models that are just undercoated brown, and then I'll move on to the next shiny thing. But I love it. Absolutely love it. So hobby wise, been printing a lot. I bought a thing. I went to Entoyment. I played a game. It was a great game. And I bought some Necromunda,
nice.
some Palanite Enforcers, because they showed the new Dreadnought for them. And finally, I was like, no, we need to do this. I need to get some Dread Boys. So got that on the go. At some point, I'm going to find some hobby time.
We call it the Lawtometer, which is just brilliant.
Yeah. Lawtomata. Absolutely awesome. And hey, Adam Pike's joined. How you doing? I am very excited at the potential of potentially doing like a mini Necromunda thing, like half size.
I think we're all up for that.
Yeah, like instead of 1,000 credits, doing it 500 credits, just have some like mini games to kind of get used to it down at club. I think would be really cool. It's been a very long time since I've played Necromunda, like 1996 or whatever it was back in the day. But I don't know, it seems like a bit of a rabbit hole I could fall down, but it seemed good. And then, very much like you, Trips, I've been playing some Blood Bowl 3. But so have you, Trips. So why don't you talk to us about Blood Bowl 3?
Well, I think it's fair to say 2 weeks ago, when we last got together and calmly talked about the issues with Blood Bowl 3 being released before it was ready to be released, and it was ready, working, or doing anything than having a goblin run. I think we're 3 patches in and 3 server maintenance fixes now, and it's nice to say that it looks like about 80% of games are being completed, and it is playable, and some of the skills are actually working as they were intended in the rules and not inducing automatic crashes, which was a bit of a problem if you were trying to row pro on a fumble, or Frenzy wasn't working, or Mighty Blow wasn't working properly. So yeah, I've managed to play I think 4 or 5 games. I think I've streamed 3 games, and big thanks to the patrons who've jumped in, and those in Discord who've jumped in and played. They've been really good fun to play. A couple of misclicks here and there, but yeah, it's in such a better game.
Dude, I completely agree. I was distraught, I think, last time, just because of how just incredibly bad it was, and unplayable. Actually, I would go so far as to say it was unplayable at launch. And then they did.
Well, it was literally unplayable because you just couldn't get past the loading screen, and it was getting to the stage where something was going to go through the computer monitor. So
yes, and then they did a couple of patches. I managed to play through the campaign. I quite enjoyed it. I was like, okay, that's fine, that's good. And then I also did a stream. I can't remember, it was last Monday, I guess, and had a couple of great games, and it worked perfectly, I would say. I mean, the thing is, there are some edge cases kicking around, like there are some skills that don't work, but the games I played, it operated perfectly and facilitated the game exactly as I wanted. And I kind of had a really... Oh, no, it was Saturday morning, wasn't it? Did Saturday morning stream.
Breakfast Blood Bowl.
That's it. And that was good fun, actually. I'm going to do that some more. But it was... it worked great. And skill ups, played one game on the big ladder that isn't really a ladder, and then played a game in the Bonehead League as well. And I was just like, this is really good. Like, it gave a nice little sight of actually this is gonna be really good fun.
Yeah, it's starting to show its potential now. It's no longer at the stage where you just can't wish, and we're probably winding Ben up something ridiculous here. The game was released.
It's starting to show its potential 4 years after teasing and
it was
after release. Yeah,
it was definitely released 3 months early, and it needed a huge amount of work on it. And they're definitely walking back from a lot they've done, particularly around the shop, which I'm not going to go into. But it does look like we'll be able to play Blood Bowl with the new rule set in a Blood Bowl game in the not too distant future for more teams and detail.
Yeah, I saw they're giving away the season pass for the first month for free.
Yeah.
As well, they're giving a lot. Yeah, Brufan just put in the chat. I walked back a lot of their terrible monetization. The cosmetics are now not per player. I just think it's actually like a really good example of pushback work. When stuff releases that, especially you've paid for, as like with pre-orders, I would say don't pre-order games. But if you did, this is a good way to use your voice.
Pre-order if there is a reason to pre-order. Like there was though. It was that 48-hour early access, which
it's a reason for us.
Yeah, exactly. I was well up for that. Tiff pre-orders games sometimes because it means it comes with it's like a Kickstarter. You know, there's Ben, you're the Kickstarter lord. You know, Kickstarter this game and it comes with 7 accessories. Like, comes with all this extra stuff.
Yeah, but you usually get with Kickstarter, it's usually that is the way to get it. I usually only Kickstart board games where that is the way to get it.
Yeah.
But
no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I pre-ordered it just to play it, and I'm really glad that I was a paid playtester for 2 days.
And they have refunded that in terms of Warpstone, if that's well valued. I don't know. I'm starting to sound like a sorry nerd, but I will just say it is a good good job on the community for saying, look, this isn't acceptable as a product, because they have walked back a lot of things, which I think is really good from a consumer perspective. So keep doing that, and we all benefit.
Yes, that is bang on the money. It does feel a bit like a microcosm of corporate world. Like, just deploy it here and we'll it's the whole we'll just apologize and make it better. Like, or just maybe no one will notice, and if they notice, I just feel bad. Like Brute Fun just put in chat, like, I can't imagine how brutal that launch week must have been for them to give into that, because I guarantee the people who were dealing with the abuse had literally nothing to do with making any of the decisions, and that's
Definitely.
that's always awful. And whether it is a country like doing something or a corporation doing something, like the people who get pushed into the grinder are undoubtedly not the people making the decisions, which is really like, it's just really brutal.
Yeah, they must have, because I think a lot of the things that they fixed in the last 2 weeks, they were telling us they were going to fix in the first 3 months. So they have definitely crammed to recover some of the situation.
I do hope developers are compensated for that, because I imagine there's some real crunch going on to get that fixed.
What do you mean compensated?
That's my concern
they
as
get
well.
they get to work on Blood Bowl, Ben. That's their job. It's great.
Wow, yeah.
No, you're exactly right, because it will be the what's the word? Fat cats. You know, see, it's the fat them corporate fat cats that are just, you know, juicing the money. But no, Ben, you're exactly right. Actually, not complaining, but just not standing for an unfinished product. I don't mind a subpar product at launch. Obviously, I do mind it, but if, you know, Games Workshop do this all the time, right? Here's a game, it's almost done. And it's kind of like, ugh, all right, there's a couple of things that they could have done better, and then an FAQ lands, and, well, actually, it tends to get worse. But do you know what I mean? Like, if something lands and you're like, it's not quite right, but they'll get it right, that's fine. But the way this landed, we're like, we've put all of our effort into this stuff here that everyone doesn't need, and none of the effort into making the game run. That was quite a really, I think this should be a really good case study, I think, of how not to do it and how to not stand for it. So, go socialism, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, always, yeah.
Shay Bloodtithe there. Some great stuff in chat here. T-Sticks, distraught, Ben. That didn't come across at all. Yeah. Hopefully they keep supporting the game. It was a Necromunda game that got abandoned as soon as the DLC came out and was pretty broken. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think BB3 is in danger of being abandoned. I think the player base is so...
Yeah, definitely.
This will be forgotten, except for memes in 6 months' time. I think if the game carries on working and they keep introducing the teams, it will be a great little community, and that's enough for me. Like that's fine.
Yeah. And I think we should point out on that front the community. So we've got, I think the last time I checked, we had 8 pages of coaches signed into the Bonehead Discord ladder, which is great. And every day there are people jumping in there and playing each other for games. So really, really nice to see that, and lots of good feedback from people rolling dice against people with a similar mad mindset.
And actually, that links bang on to Mark's comment here. For some of us dotted around the UK who aren't on the South Coast with you awesome guys, BB3 and its future is really important to us. So I really hope it continues to improve. Personally, I think we're going to see a good amount of stuff for the next month. Then when they upgrade the league and tournament access admin tools that's been floating around, that will be great. But it's was it the November bit trips where they said they're going to do what's it where you can like watch?
Crossplay?
No, not crossplay. That will be great.
The spectating and replay mode, that's due August.
That's what I'm super excited for, because then we can host worldwide Bonehead tournaments on Blood Bowl 3 or something like that. We can do coverage of matches, which is something I haven't done for video games really since CNC Generals was a thing, and you could go back and watch replays of matches, and it was absolutely flipping wicked. So 2003, Ben, coming at you, which is very exciting because it's 20 years later, and I'm just 3 stone heavier. That's all. otherwise I've not changed at all. Bruty says, to be fair, because I've been vocally negative on the launch, once they've implemented the announcement, they've earned my money back. They've earned my money. Pushback works, but it also needs to be rewarded when we see a pivot.
Yes, it does.
Baron says, I'd like to see a league table, actually. I love the stats.
Oh, yes.
Where are the stats? I know! You can't even see a win-loss. Trips, you went to look at the Never Bay Nightmares.
Yeah.
Just tell me what my record is. Just
No,
put it
but
out
at
there.
least you can see where you are in the ladder, but you've got no idea how many other players are in the ladder
Yes.
and how you've managed to get there. But maybe in 2 weeks' time you'll be able to see a
Or
win-loss.
2 years. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite important. But no,
Tune in more for more updates in the
Don't see that on the roadmap.
following months.
no, they just complain about it enough, and they'll get to it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it means that actually you can play some games right now. You can wait a little bit longer, which I think is probably better. If you don't have it now, then waiting's fine. Getting it now is fine, and there's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. Caron says, my lunch break's ended. I'll be listening while I work. If I can, I'll chat. I'll jump in. All right, dude. Catch you in a bit. Can't wait for crossplay and playing on PS4 like no one else. Yeah, crossplay is going to be pretty wicked. And I guess we'll keep it updated. But I think that wraps it up for hobby. Unless you guys have got anything to talk about.
So
I did have a game in the Entoyment League. It was a shootout. Went 3-3 against Wood Elves, and I pulled off a tabletop 1-turn touchdown with my Skaven, and it was filthy. And John, if you're listening, I apologise, but a double scold on a 2-die blitz to free a gutter up to go to 3-2, and a double scold, and then my guy got nuked, and the ball bounced, and Wood Elves, and I was down 3-2, and it was turn 16, and I was like, all right, I've got to give it a go. It won't work out, and it blooming did. So I managed to pull off a 1-turn, and I didn't even look at my own video to figure it out. I was like, let's see if I can do this, because I had used the formations videos. I had them up on the laptop to the left, and I was like, right, Wood Elves, let's go with a bit of column. Let's do an anchor. What's he going to set up? It was a heck of a game, proper shootout. John's awesome, and my first non-win in the 11s league. So I'm now 5-0-1 or 5-1-0, depending on whether you're in England or US. So good game. I didn't want to miss that out because 1-turn touchdown. Yeah, felt awful. Still feel bad. Equal parts ashamed and proud. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
Oh, sorry, I did have a league game. I did have a league game as well, because you mentioned that. I lost my streak as well. I went 1-1 against Tomb Kings, and 3 at club. It was a brutal game. We had rain, which Chaos Dwarf against Tomb Kings is no fun. He weather maged it on his drive, which was fine. I suffered. However, it was just like everything kind of just went wrong, really. So getting the 1-1 was good, and it was all completely down to me taking dodge on the ball centaur last game. So having my blodging ball centaur was absolute MVP. Next game, he casualtied 3 dwarves. Which was quite impressive.
Oh, wow.
And my Minotaur. And I am 2 dwarves and a Minotaur out for next game.
You've only got 8 fit players for the next game. So,
it's going to be tough.
Might be time for me to come back to the league.
I was going to say, I feel like an appearance at league is now desperately needed.
I might get inducements, which is kind of crazy for Chaos Dwarf, but yeah.
That's wicked. That's wicked. Right. Let's go to topic number 1. Guys in chat, we're going to probably keep this bit to around about 9:30ish as an episode. So it's going to be a little bit rambly, I think. Let's move over to here. And we want your feedback as well. So chuck in questions as we go. Okay. Everyone set?
Yeah, all good.
Who are? Okay. So I bought Necromunda. Because Games Workshop did a preview for a Necromunda toy. And then they did another preview for another Necromunda toy. And then they did another preview for another Necromunda toy. And there's a lot of stuff going on in Necromunda, and I found myself going, ooh, shiny, this could be really good fun. Like, this could be really cool. And then I listened to the painting phase, and they were talking about Necromunda, and they were like, just how the hell you keep up? There's like 17 books and all this kind of stuff. And it got me thinking about Blood Bowl. And as you can tell by Trip's back cupboard there, it's full of the Necromunda books.
Or the Calyx Cube.
Yeah.
Full of books, full of goodness.
There must be 12 Necromunda books in there, at least.
And it got me at first. I guess I went through. Are you guys familiar with the transition curve? The classic leadership thing where
Yes.
yeah, I'm sure loads of you guys out there will know about the transition curve. This is like this cycle of life, Ben, where you get excited to try something new, and then it's awful, and then actually after a while it gets better again. You get really excited, and then it gets awful. It's the transition curve. It's just awesome. And I went through that for this. I was like, oh, that's cool. There's some cool Necromunda stuff, and I was like, hang about. We haven't had a Blood Bowl team since July. It's now month 3 of 2023. That is 8 months. 8 months. This has nearly been a year. And then I thought, actually, you know what? Every week on the podcast, we still have a lot of stuff to talk about in Blood Bowl, and we still have plenty of like review videos and stuff for the channel. I was like, okay, well let's take a moment to think about actually release speed and release fatigue. And I guess the question here is that we're going to kind of talk about is what is the perfect amount? Because Ben, I believe you're familiar with Age of Sigmar and 40k. And Trips, you are our resident specialist games expert. So I think is, or addict, I don't know.
They're very close to the same thing.
So let's start with where Blood Bowl is now. We saw the last preview for a team in July last year, and then they landed in September last year. So that's now 6 months since the team came out. We've got no previews or anything lined up. Let's assume that a team drops in a preview in the next 4 weeks, and it comes out May. So we get a team in May, and then maybe we get one towards the end of the year. So as a starting point for that, Papa Z says, good luck working out the rules books you need for Necromunda. I've got Trips for that. It's fine. Andrew, that's why I like Blood Bowl. Much easier to get into. Let's assume that Games Workshop drop a team, and then they drop another team, and there's 2 teams per year. How do we feel about that tempo for Blood Bowl?
If it's in a vacuum of Games Workshop, I think that's too low. I think that's quite slow. Like a year goes by, it feels like quite quick, but in terms of like new stuff coming out, if that's like your only game, like that is really not that fast. We're fortunate to have third-party releases, which we'll touch on. Yeah, I think 2 seems quite low. Yeah,
I'd agree. We've seen the new teams come through to the tournaments and people playing the new team in sort of not the tournament straight after the release, but more the next tournament, as everyone's had time to build and paint and figure out some rosters, but then a chance to play with them through. And there's that sort of that peak of everyone playing them. We saw it at Beachhead with the number of Amazon teams that came, but 3 feels like sort of the where we want to be for bare minimum, because I mean, yeah, as we've said, it's been months and months and months. Well, I mean, we've had a steady dribble of star players to try and remind us there's stuff to come through, but it's been a long time. And if Blood Bowl is your only game, as you said, Ben, yeah, you've saved your hobby money several times over. You can even afford to buy 2 whole shiny boxes of the new GWT now.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so we had Norse early in the year last year. That's right? Yeah. Norse was last year. So we had Norse Amazons, and then we had the Almanac drop. Is that this year, or was that after? It was around Christmas time, wasn't it?
It was basically around Christmas. Came out first weekend in January, and we had the second Dungeon Bowl box and minis just before Christmas.
Sorry, Papa Z's saying, I'm glad we don't have too much Games Workshop stuff, or we'd end up with teams of Space Marine lieutenants on the pitch. Baron says, I think a release every quarter or so. Doesn't always have to be a team, though, but more than a Forge World Star Player or Dice Pitch release. Okay, so actually, Mark's led us on there to where I wanted to kind of go next. Now, originally, Games Workshop said, or said by their actions, or said by inference, that it would be a team a quarter or a release a quarter, and actually they've kind of met that. So we had the deathmatch bit, we had the almanac, we had 2 teams. That's technically 4 Blood Bowl releases it did feel like three of them were all together at the same time. The Almanac, the Deathmatch bit, which really was not a massive release, or the other bit there. So I kind of got salty. I kind of got us thinking like, well, actually, you know what? Like, we haven't had a team in ages. Like, what's going on? Like, and then Games Workshop took all the community sites down, didn't they? Where the Blood Bowl one was like, there's no more Blood Bowl, and which led me to a great moment of like, ooh, Games Workshop's cancelled Blood Bowl. I'm not going to do a clickbait video, but that would be quite entertaining. So, Ben, from a 40k point of view, let's, I mean, 40k or Age of Sigmar, whichever one you're happier with. What, in the way of like their releases that you need to play the game, or that you have a different thing to play the game, like a new team, it's not really a new team, it's, I would say, a codex. Looking at the roadmap, it's quite a different world in those core games, right?
It's different though. So with Age of Sigmar and 40k, you have a multitude of armies, like you have a multitude of teams in Blood Bowl, but it's not nearly as easy to jump to a new thing. So like in Blood Bowl, a new team is kind of for everyone. Like everyone who plays Blood Bowl, a new team, like they are the market for that new release. In Age of Sigmar, like if you drop a new unit or something, which they honestly rarely do now, I will say that. Like it's rare that like a random faction will get a unit. They might get a hero in a box set, but it's not like, you know, you're an Idoneth Deepkin player and they just suddenly come out with this new like battle line unit. Like they're not going to do that. They just don't do that anymore.
Didn't they do that for Lumineth though? Like they released the Lumineth, the High Elves, and then like we're like, oh, we forgot to put the Kangaroo Cavalry in there. We better put another book out within a year.
I think there was something going on that caused that. Lumineth were kind of like quite a core thing. Like they sometimes do this like Space Marines, and then maybe like actually even like new units. That is quite rare. They might have like a monster or a hero.
No, you're
single
right.
figures. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, like those are only really for players who play that faction. Like it's actually quite, you know, people aren't multiple times a year going to start a new faction and buy everything. Like that is just not something that happens. There are some players who do.
It's not really affordable, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a big barrier to entry. Whereas Blood Bowl, it feels like, like I said, like everyone, like once a quarter, a new team. I think most Blood Bowl players would be on board with that.
Trips, what do you think about one team a quarter? A team a quarter?
So I think a team a quarter would be really nice, because there would be that regular pace to it, a bit of detail, and it give you that time to get something out and play with it. And 4 teams a year would be plenty for everyone to do. I think you'd find a lot of Blood Bowl players skipping 1 or 2 of those teams, because actually to get a new team, paint a new team, play it in a tournament, and then get to the point where you want to move on to another one, I can see why you wouldn't want to do that every 3 months, because it takes me about 3 months to get more than a prime colour on a set of miniatures, let alone to get to playing them in detail, particularly in League version. But yeah, a bit more frequency would be great.
I actually have thought about this a lot, because I'm like, it's been months. Like, and I think we got spoiled at first with like that new team every 3 months, and it seems to have slowed completely down now. And at first we kind of thought it was like, this is shipping. Like at some point, like the COVID cargo ships are going to rock up and there's going to be loads of releases. But from what we see in our tournaments, and Trips, you called this out already, there's a release hangover of like 6 months, right? Because it takes you a couple of months to actually get it to the pitch, and then it takes you a couple of months to actually figure out if you enjoy the playing the team, and then it's a couple of months of playing the team at the tournament. I think the perfect tempo for Games Workshop is in fact 2 teams a year. But there's 2 things there, and Baron's called this in chat here. I think a roadmap would allow them a slower release schedule, because you'd have a fixed point to look forward to. It's the void of unknown nothingness that bothers me, which is really interesting. So why don't you think there's a Blood Bowl roadmap? Because they do a roadmap for almost every other piece, right? And I mean, the void of unknown nothingness is that like that little pinch of anxiety. Even if they said, right, vampires, spring, next team winter?
So I think there's a couple of reasons for it. So firstly, I think that some of the box games and the bigger other box games, so Kill Team and Warcry, they've moved into this seasonal mode. So there is a real drumbeat of there's a new box or a new mini box and a couple of teams and a couple of gangs and something in it. And there is a real pace, and there's definitely the FOMO effect of not getting the latest box and detail until you realise that two-thirds of it is the same as last.
It's literally called Season 2. Like, this is the most seasonal of games that isn't about farming.
But it's not a season of 3 months, is it? It's not the same. My personal belief for why there isn't a Blood Bowl roadmap as opposed to every other Games Workshop game is very much due to the fact that Games Workshop gets beaten to the punch by lots and lots of third party. Nearly every other
he's in chat and on cue.
Yes.
Yeah. The other games, the third party aspects of them, yes, there are lots of STLs and print and detail out there, but most of it is around terrain and detail. Most of the other games are more pure GW models.
Ben, would you do the honours of representing Brute Fun in that beautiful segue? Trips, the red backlight you've got going on is so Sith. It's just amazing, by the way.
Oh, he laughed and changed it.
He's happier now.
Brute Fun, verbatim. If GW announces the next team, everyone jump on it to scoop them. It's true, and you can blame them. We're really privileged in this community to have such support from third parties who produce quality, often better, if not always, products than Games Workshop produce. And I do wonder if that's had an impact on this current release that we're seeing. If, maybe they're not releasing so much because they keep getting beaten to the punch by this massive, thriving third-party community, which I generally don't think they could shut down because none of us would have any of it. So, if they want to annoy all of us, they would start taking action against third-party creators. And
they can't. They can't. They don't own fantasy football as a thing.
Exactly, right?
I know this because they shut down our Etsy store because I used the words Blood Bowl, and now it's Blood Fantasy Football, and it's fine.
Nice.
And
bloody balls.
Yeah, bloody balls.
That's a different store.
that's rolling a triple double. That's triple skulls. I mean, I think this sounds like a bit of a conspiracy theory. I love a good conspiracy theory, but actually, I think you guys in chat and Ben, I think you bang on the money here. That if Games Workshop are like, here's next team is vampires, people would be all over it. However, the rosters are so important. The actual positionals of Blood Bowl are so important, and if they don't release those or don't show them, or don't necessarily show what they are supposed to do, then actually, if they said vampires are coming next, what would you couldn't. I mean, Bruty could, but you couldn't go and sculpt a vampire team because you don't know what the vampire roster is going to look like. So they are protected in that. I think the biggest faux pas they did was dropping that Amazon release and being like, "Here's our team," and by the time they'd shown the team, which is enough for you to figure out what's in it, it was 2 months before you could even buy it. That's a massive window. Like Fanath were like, cool idea, bro. Thursday, I could order it. It was there by the time I returned back to the UK. So within a week of Games Workshop saying, here's this thing. By the way, we're not going to release it till it's cold outside. A third party had produced it, cast it in resin, and shipped it around the world. And it's just like, okay, well, that seems like a bit of a faux pas that seems like a mishandling from a Games Workshop point of view. Rather than having a roadmap, even if Games Workshop with the Age of Sigmar and stuff, they don't actually, their roadmaps, they don't really show what's coming, do they? They put a dodgy little
they give
logo.
you an idea,
yeah, and everyone's
or a
like,
name or something.
Ooh, is this going to be Khorne or vampires? There's a skull with a blade. This could be, orc commandos. Having something like that, I think would. And this is, Ben, I think this comes back to you and I talking about the seasons quite regularly, but I feel like we are in a period where we're both rushing and prolonging what should have been and could have been 6 months of Amazon. And if they just kind of went, you know what, November and May will be a new Blood Bowl team. And then actually you've got that 6 months of Amazons where you can play in Lustria, especially because each of the spikes has got legitimate league rules, league special rules. I just find it really baffling how a sports role-playing game focused on stuff like that, with lore like that, doesn't just kind of go, this 6 months is going to be in Lustria. The rules for the Lustrian campaign are in the Amazon spike, and there's a new Amazon team and new star players. And then the next batch is coming in November. So I don't understand it. And thinking about Blood Bowl 3 and how they're doing the 3-month seasons, which I think is perfectly fine for digital, by the way. 3 months in digital is a long time. 3 weeks in digital has taken a game that's just needed to be set on fire to a game that I can't wait to stream again, right? But 3 weeks in Games Workshop physical land is about the amount of time it takes to order and get a parcel from Forge World. By that time, you know, we've printed 1,000 replacements and shipped them around the world. But I don't know. I think Baron's called it there, that actually some kind of roadmap would help. But Bruty's pointed out an excellent point there, that actually they leak what's coming up next. The third parties will get to it, and even like, I tell you what, as we got you in chat, Brute Fun, if Games Workshop all of a sudden say, you know, here's a preview coming, here's a vampire player coming, how would you manage that within your release schedule? Because you do a 2-month release schedule, you're working on a ridiculously nice goblin team right now. Do you go, right, month 1 goblins, month 2 is vampires, and shift it over like that? Benford Games Workshop CEO. No, I don't like money enough, I'm afraid. I don't know. Anyway, to bring it back to point, the release speed of not knowing is pretty brutal. How much, on the flip side, do you think would be too much from Games Workshop for Blood Bowl? Not just from like I like to buy things, because I do like to buy things. This was fun to buy. It's still sealed. Check in with me next episode. But like, from a gameplay point of view, is a new team, new star players every 3 months, would that actually be too much for the Blood Bowl meta, given that the NAF apparently are terrified of new things and have banned a year's worth of star players?
My personal thing is I don't think if it's teams, there's possible thing as too much, especially as they're not limited. It only becomes too much when these releases are like limited and short-term stuff, because then consumers have to like choose what to buy, and then there's that FOMO, and there's just overspending, and it's all just feels bad. Like, but when they have these things they continually produce and stock on shelves, there's really no rush. I mean, I'm of the belief that I don't think there's a really upper limit on what we can do, and I would like to come back around to that after this. But so yeah, I think with his teams, like they could probably do 1 every 2 months and have 6 a year, and I'd be happy.
It'd still be less releases than Necromunda trips.
Very, very much so. It's like Necromunda Friday every week in Forge World. I think if it was 6 new teams a year, I think we'd love that, and it would strain the ability to paint, play, work them out, and then move on to the next one. You'd almost have the next one on the table as the next one was being announced. I think you would find most players, though, would absolutely start skipping releases and details, because there's a core of Blood Bowl players who play their team and will play their team all the time, and they're really good with their team and they play it through, and that's absolutely a way to play. There's players like us who've probably got more than 5 Blood Bowl teams, and probably more than 3 of at least the same race.
I was going to say more than 5 of each race, yeah.
Yes. Who will go for everything. So I think that balance works. I think the biggest thing that makes any release schedule work for Blood Bowl is as long as it doesn't get to the point where 40k has, or even Munda has, where it gets to it, where you literally have to carry a bag of books around to play it. That's the thing that will really impact it, because you are impacting everyone at that stage, as opposed to someone who goes, I want to play the new thing. I shall go and buy the new thing. Good luck to you.
Including forests. That always bothers me is they print a lot of books that don't last long, and it just seems really wasteful. A lot of 40k books are like that.
They're going to be recycling the spruce soon, Ben.
Yeah, that is genuinely good news, actually.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that. But no, I mean, to what Trix just said about actually having each team, for the most part, be its own self-contained thing. Ben, is that why you think that actually essentially limitless Blood Bowl teams would be fine?
Yeah, I mean, so I'll touch on, I think we mentioned it on a podcast, like the last one or the one before or something like that. But like, is there anything really stopping the community kind of doing what it did before in terms of releasing stuff? Just like adopting things as a community. I know it's difficult to centralize that kind of thing, and we had the NAF, which kind of did that. I have the NAF, which kind of did that with like the living rulebook and stuff. But like, especially with this like surgence of really, really good third-party sculptors, I feel like we could be getting so much more. Like Brute Fund's making the Squig team, or making Squigs for a team, and it's just like, what's really stopping people from being like, this is the rules for Squigs now?
Yep.
Blood Bowl's not balanced.
Yep.
Just tier it appropriately, and like, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter if it's like, oh, we've playtested this for eons, which Games Workshop claim, which I don't think really changes anything. But like, I just don't really see like why we can't do that. I think it'll be difficult to get a lot of people to adopt that. But if we ran a tournament and said, hey, by the way, there's 4 extra rosters you can use if you want miniatures, Rooty makes them.
Well, we did that. We did that with Tombstone a couple of years ago. We did that with Bonehead Bowl last year with mixed teams. And George Christodoulou was running sevens with a Beastman team in there for a while. A couple of great boys in chat. Matt Smith says, could it be a development issue slowing them down, like you just said, Ben, after the remaining teams of Legend? What do you think Games Workshop will do? Just add more new teams? I mean, that I think is the interesting thing, because what Ben said is bang on the money. But like, I don't think there really is an upper limit. And will we see more new teams than teams of Legend? Because you're quite right, Ben. There's nothing to stop a community supplement being like, boom. And that's kind of what I mean. Like, hey, we're in Lustria, so here's some Lustrian teams. Here's a Snake Man team. We're in the caves now.
Team.
Yeah, exactly right. There's all this unexplored space that we definitely need to dive into, and it's going to start with the Squig team, I think, because I think it's just too good an opportunity, and that's probably going to be one of the biggest gateways into playing those secret teams. Is, hey, here's the team, here's the rules. They're not official Games Workshop rules, but then neither is the Slan team. So, do you know what? Go and have a great game of Blood Bowl, and I am just super on board.
Yeah. And if you look at the secret teams as well, on the secret teams, which, if for those who don't know where to find them, go and look at them on Funboard. It's by far the easiest way to look at them. 3 of those secret teams are no longer secret teams because they have been moved to official rosters. So that is a pretty good sign of where they are potentially looking for in terms of inspiration. There's 80 more secret teams in there.
Some of them
80. Yeah, I always forget how many.
Some of them are definitely not suitable, but some of them are just super suitable. So yeah, the Khorne Chaos team is now a real team, replacing Demons of Khorne. The Britonian roster is now a real team, sort of. Well, the Imperial Nobility roster is. That's just a whole cluster, isn't it?
The Snotling team.
And the Snotling team. Although,
and actually the Big Uns team, which was in the secret team, is basically the Black Orc team.
The Snotling Secret League team was better though, because the pump wagons had hands, so they had crap agility, but you could actually catch the ball and go for a Snotling pump wagon touchdown. They were ball and chains as well. So much better, like just so much better a roster. That was an absolute highlight of a Blood Bowl year for me. Was getting that guy a touchdown using ball and chain. That's how they should have been written. There's a great couple of things in chat here as well. If they release teams too quickly, they'll run out. and start changing the rules so they can start again. Would you be happy, Simon says, would you be happy if they started releasing new versions of old teams? So 6 teams a year, but the next 6 are alternative humans, orcs, dwarfs, etc. What do you guys think to that?
I'd love that. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I think we need to see more of this. I mean, again, third party's kind of doing this, but like getting a new clan skaven team, awesome, good fun, makes everything different, spices things up.
Yeah. Baron says, I think they recently announced Warhammer Total War release mode roadmap works well. They're doing 3 DLC this year. They'll roughly map out when they'll be coming and hint a month or two before. A few weeks later, do a preview, which gives them the info. That way, the hype builds without giving away too much info and gets everyone speculating about what's going on. That's perfect. Lars says, will GamesWorks branch out the Skaven with distinct clan types? Ben just called it because it is the most. It's just such a tempting way to do it. There's so much design space here that, I mean, I know that there's definitely a worry that they'll run out of teams, but there's so many alternative rosters that they could do using the teams and the sprues that they have now, like with the Skaven ones, with an alternative human build, and then you've just got a lot of stuff that they could be doing with that. Whether that becomes I guess Blood Bowl kind of is it's got a heart of tournament. It just feels like there's a heart of tournament play with Blood Bowl, but so much of it is league that actually I don't think they need to worry too much about it. So Brutefun did reply. Games Workshop is just at such a disadvantage. Overhead's minimum here. No committee to approve my sculpts. No models to machine or test. So third parties are just, they've got the flexibility to do it.
Yeah, but again, Games Workshop could be doing this. So it's like if they're being beaten by individuals, I think that's nothing to be critical about. That's pretty awesome.
Mick T is right. If there's 80 plus secret teams, mostly they're taken from Games Workshop lore. So I don't think Games Workshop is taken from the Secret League. I think they're just simply going to be coincidental overlap. Yeah, definitely. Like you'll expect all those things to kind of come together. I think the Khorne one is a really interesting one where they've got the lore. There's a Fumble team. There's the Demons of Khorne team, and it just all kind of came together beautifully. But I mean, you know, there's, before we even go into alt teams, there's a Tzeentch team waiting, there's a Slanesh team waiting, you know, there's a Squig team absolutely waiting. Fortunately, Brutefun's got that sorted for us. The Secret League also proves you can have loads of teams without disrupting the balance too much. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
exactly
huge
like I said, we did Tombstone and it was just more Blood Bowl. It was no different.
Crazy fun, and it worked.
Exactly, and it just does. I think there's got to be open-mindedness and creativity,
and that's before you get into mixed teams and adding more teams into the College of Heaven, so that they can literally have one of every miniature.
Well, how many times have we broken Blood Bowl and it's still been fun?
None. I don't think.
Oh, mixed teams.
Oh no, yeah, but that's it. It wasn't actually OP broken. Like
no, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
like
we've done loads
of busted.
Yeah,
we've warped it in like loads of different ways, and it's still been Blood Bowl. That's what I mean. It's like I say broken Blood Bowl.
Hack, Flem, and Griff have been worse. Like they've been more egregious than anything we've ever done. Which clearly means we need to do a bit more with star players. Right, I've got a couple more Patreon questions that we'll kind of tick on through. Some to do with the topic, some not to do with the topic, just because I think we'll kind of chat it through there. Trevor says, my question, what one piece of advice would you give to new Blood Bowl players?
Find an experienced player who's willing to help you learn.
That's pretty good. Interestingly, a good little caveat here. Caron says, I live in an area where where if there's any tabletop Blood Bowl being played, it's not being played at my friendly local gaming store. I've tried speaking with the people who play Warhammer and other tabletop games to see if they've been interested in learning the game of Blood Bowl, but they don't want to spend any more on another game. I've tried playing games at my friendly local gaming store against myself and enough effort to showcase the game, and I've offered to provide one of the 13 teams I own so they don't have to purchase anything and try it out. Like, that's proper. Question: what advice would you give to someone who is looking to introduce people to Blood Bowl and grow a community of players where there seems to be no Blood Bowl being played? That is a heck of a question.
Okay, so what I was going to say is, one, you don't need all the things. What makes Blood Bowl so easy to get into is actually pretty cheap to get into. You need a team, and one person needs a pitch and some dice, and then you can play. And I think in terms of getting people to play, I think sevens, honestly, like start small. Like if you've got a couple of teams lying around, just be like, hey, have you got a spare hour? Let's just do one half of sevens and see if you like it. Teach them the rules slowly. You touched on this in the previous one, where it's just like, show them how to move a player, then show them how to block a player, show them how to dodge a player and how to pick up a ball. And then maybe just be like, move some players on the pitch and say, try and get the ball to this square past the player, or try and throw a block at 3 different players here, see if you succeed, and stuff like that. Just say little mini scenarios, take 15 minutes to do that, and then play half as Evans. And I think a lot of people will be sold.
A couple of different angles you could go to is actually talking to the friendly local gaming store's owner and just being like, hey, I think you're missing out. I think you should be playing some Blood Bowl stuff. And then even if it's getting the owner to sit down and play a sevens game with you on a club night, if they're available, or one of the staff members. Like, I know it's it feels like, well, their staff are going to be playing games, and that's, maybe it's not cost effective, but Entoyment do this really, really well. They get people to demo games. Actually, once people start seeing a game being played, it will spark up interest. It absolutely will spark up interest. And the other thing I was going to say is, with Blood Bowl 3 landing now, it is going to creep up, very much like Dawn of War did with 40k, like 20 years ago. It is going to start seeping up and becoming more of a, like, everywhere brand. It's still niche, right? But Switch, PS4, PS5, everything like that, it's going to be around. Tim in chat said, is Dungeon Bowl a good gateway too?
This might be difficult. I don't think it would be. I'm going to say that I think Dungeon Bowl's great for Blood Bowl players who like D&D and dungeons and just generic fantasy and stuff like that. But I think if someone was going the other way, it's a bit of a weird introduction.
Yeah, the gameplay is quite different. The rosters are very different. It doesn't easily transfer as a way of playing. And it plays very differently because of the teleporters and the you can have 2 or 3 turns with absolutely no interaction. You're not going to get that in any other Blood Bowl game.
I'm thinking of, like, imagine someone who's like really into sort of like D&D, and then someone convinces them to play Dungeon Bowl and they have a good time, and he's like, right, okay, remember they've just played like sports ball in a dungeon, there were wizards and there were portals and it was awesome, right? Imagine if we had none of that and we just go to a grass field and we play like serious sport. Doesn't that sound great? So it's a bit like, yeah.
The one other thing I would say to help new players play, and this is going to sound really bad because of what we're doing right now, but Entoyment do it really well. They have the Bonehead podcast up on a regular basis, and the number of times I've talked to players, or even better, I've been playing with someone else and someone's come on over and talked to you, go, oh, you're looking at Blood Bowl and how do you go? And the opposing player's gone, watch a few Bonehead videos about how to play and get into it, because it's free, it's on YouTube, you can watch it quickly and then go, yeah, I just need that one box of team, as you said, Ben, because you need a box of team, someone else will have dice, someone else will have the pitch. There you go, crack on.
Yeah, so good luck, Karen. Andrew's back on the money there. Dungeon Bowl is great, but it's a totally different experience to normal Blood Bowl. Which I think is what you just said, Ben. Which is interesting actually, because you would expect it to. You can kind of RP it up, but you are then teaching them and coaching them into playing Dungeon Bowl, not Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
So I think that's about right. And yeah, trips, and that's what I mean about like seeing the game. Actually, having a game being played on a TV in a store is just a good way to kind of be like, oh, that's a brand, oh, that's a thing, oh, that's a thing that happens, and actually it's going to start becoming a kind of a thing. And I'm susceptible as heck to this. I start seeing videos being played, I start to see people playing a game, and I'm like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll buy Necromunda. That's a great question there. Andrew says, after the recent patches, have you changed your mind much on BB3? I think I can say yes, I've changed my mind. It's not perfect, but getting there, and I'm now at the point where I'm on the happier side of the, probably like a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, where I was expecting to be an 8 or 9, but actually 6 out of 10 is much better than the 3 it was.
I'm not loading it up with trepidation of what's going to happen. I'm pretty convinced that I'm loading it up because I can actually play the game, which is a very low bar, but the bar was even lower 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I think what you said earlier, Ben, is if you've got it, you can play it. If you haven't got it, there's still no rush to get it now because it still needs a lot of work.
In 3 months'
will
time,
go on sale.
In 3 months' time, when it's up and running, if there's a ladder, if there are tournaments and ladders to be played, then I think it's going to start being really juicy and should be a really good experience and a really good thing to join in. And to go back to Karen's point, is actually, I don't know, man, in a few months' time, like, you'll see Blood Bowl being played a bit more, and someone will be able to go, oh yeah, I'll play some Blood Bowl, I've heard of that game, I'll give it a go, I'll download the demo, I'll play it for a couple of hours on stream, and actually it doesn't take much to get you sucked completely in. Lars says, which of the old edition star players do you think we'll see next? Well, I think we know this, don't we, Trips?
We've got the Aspirin Thorn, the superb on the ball pick up,
super quarterback, right?
Super quarterback
hands on the ball.
He does everything you've ever wanted to do with the ball.
Has he got Cannoneer as well? Does he? Oh no, that was the old Prince Moranian, wasn't it?
I hope we see him too.
Yeah. My bad.
And then we've got the Squid. Is it the Squiddy guy? Oh, I can't remember his name. Krakeneye, yes. Who's got a great voiceover on the game.
But he's only edge 3+, which is dumb. Yeah. They keep wrecking people's agility. They wrecked Wither Grasp double draw and made him a edge 4+, and they've got an edge 3+ elf. It's madness. But we'll definitely be seeing those lads soon. And I don't know, Ben, if they do drop high elves, you gotta hope they bring back Moranian as well.
Yeah, I'd like him. He was solid.
Rupert says, hi, really like that you're selling minis on the website. Are there plans to keep this going / expand the range? Yes, indeed. It's really useful for people like me who might not have a printer and all the knowledge around third-party minis available. Also, pitches would be a good addition. Ooh, the thought that pitches, that's a hobby project of its own. But yeah. And Gary says, my question, do you think desperate measures, this is a good one actually, guys, do you think desperate measures in Blood Bowl 7s influences the outcome too much?
No, because I'm for me, desperate measures and the number of times I've played them or seen them play with someone else, it is a complete 50-50. You get a good desperate measure which you can use, but you can use it because your team is effectively less TV on the pitch to start off with, or you have a desperate measure which makes you go, should have taken the extra player.
I'm with Trips. I think they can be influential, but I don't think it's too much, especially because it's a real choice that you make when building your roster.
Yeah,
I think they're in a perfect position where they're not too strong, that you always want to take one, but not too weak where you feel like it's just sort of like just chucking money away. So, yeah, I think they're actually quite good.
If the banana only worked on a 2+,
then
I think it would be perfect. That's the only one that I'm like, it's just a bit, all right. So at some point I'm going to have a turnover just because. Actually, just give me that, like, you've activated my trap card and on a 2+ starts of 1, never mind. You get away with it. Like, that's the only tweak I'd make. Otherwise, I actually think they're pretty great. Baron's got a great question in chat. Here's my ridiculous question. If you ranked every single lineman, positional, and big guy in Blood Bowl 2020, who would you rank as the top player? This
lineman, positional, big guy, gutter runner. Probably. Yeah.
Trips.
The gutter runner is frightening, and I think the movement makes a big difference. I really want to say that there's an elfin catcher or a ward. The war dancer used to be the answer to this question, but is not anymore with Leap having been nerfed. I prefer to split the question out into the best lineman and then the best positional.
Yeah. Yeah, because positions are always going to beat the lineman.
Yeah,
Who's the best lineman? Probably
Dark Elf lineman.
The correct answer is Gutter
Yeah.
Runner. I agree with you guys. But I would say the Underworld Gutter Runner is actually the best player in Blood Bowl.
yes.
Because
that is
you
true,
are
yeah.
one step away from 2 heads, and then it's just no friends. 2 heads, no friends. Fair trade-off. Best lineman, Dark Elf lineman, is a very, very solid choice. Decent armor, decent speed, decent agility. There's the Wood
It's
Elf
expensive.
one who's movement 7, which I think is pretty decent. I would probably go so far as to say lineman, maybe the Skink.
Yeah, actually, that is a really good point.
And
I think I'm on board with that.
I would
You have
put-
a human catcher for every lineman. So
well, no, a Stunty, which is
it's stunty human catcher.
Edge 3++ everywhere. The Skink is up there with the Gutters, I think, as just being one of the best players in the game for scoring. Now, obviously, there's but Lizardmen have Skinks as linemen. That's a pretty good team. This Drool and Dribble are doing a pretty great job of topping up Amazons at the moment, which is actually a really interesting combo that I'm gutted isn't allowed at the World Cup. I wanted to see Ripper at the World Cup. I wanted to see Drool and Dribble with Amazons be like this speedy, like, here's my 2 catcher blitzers, here's Drool and Dribble as my speed 8 guys, like this fast-paced offense, and we're not going to see that, which is a bit of a shame. But hey, what could you do? Important question. Macy, Warhammer World for 7s. Will you be having any drinks, as I need to buy you around? We'll talk about that in the Discord, I think, because we're going to go up on the Wednesday night, aren't we?
Yes.
For Warhammer World 7s.
Arrange plans based on like when we're
next
getting there
week.
and stuff.
It is next week.
Yeah.
The banana is lethal. Yeah, we all know Ben's is the Gutter Runner. It's just the correct thing. Norma Underworld, Andrew, yeah. Goblin Lineman, always underestimated. Completely agree. Sadly, the Goblin Lineman has been usurped by the Goblin Bruiser Lineman.
Yeah.
And the Underworld Goblin Lineman. And at some point, hopefully, officially, we'll have the Goblin Herder as a positional. Not sure what skill they'd have. Maybe jump up. Just as that little 45k Goblin Herders with jump up, because all the squigs have got animal savagery. Wonderful little combo.
If Games Workshop made this a team, they would give them a rule like all the squigs have loner, but if they're within 3 squares of a Goblin Herder, they don't. that would be like, yeah.
And we should probably add what would Milton's favourite lineman be? Well, other than an orc, because the answer is always an orc with lineman. It would maybe be the Norse lineman, because of course they come with block built in, and Milton wouldn't be worrying about drunkard anyway, because he wouldn't be rolling the 17 go for it that the rest of us seem to think is fine.
There's a great old chat going on in the chat at the moment between everyone and Tim. Tim's like, dwarf blocker. Everyone's like, Tim, no.
Yeah. They're good, but I think their movement really hurts them as a lineman. So
they are good. Drool and Dribble are actually cheaper than regular skinks when skilled up appropriately. I know, they're excellent. Goblin Herder should have Fend. I did think about Fend. They do love putting Fend around, but if you put a Goblin with Fend at 45k, it would be the same as a Nobility lineman, and then your chain your
better Adge.
Adge for Stunty is, Stunty is a nega trait, like, because they get splattered.
Not really.
Oh, they get splattered a much bigger percentage of the time.
But any player with Stunty, you can buy 2 of a Stunty player to a lineman who will actually survive the game.
Remember Death Ball and your skinks, Ben, and tell me that Stunty was a negative trait.
Yes, exactly. See, Skink, greatest lineman. Oh, that was wicked. I forgot about that.
No, the rest of us are still traumatized by it.
Off my face on Beecham's. It was wicked. It was wicked. Right, guys, I think we've done Patreon questions. We've done release speed, release fatigue. I guess the message is the game is currently great. More Blood Bowl is technically more better, as long as it's not rules supplements, as long as it's just individual teams, we're good to go. If you start introducing additional rules supplements like Necromunda, it's going to be hard. Don't do that, please. And third parties are probably the reason Blood Bowl is so amazing for a tabletop point of view.
Yes.
Because even though Games Workshop can barely release 2 teams a year, we've just had, at the beginning of this podcast with the news segment, Brute Fun Skaven, Punga, Pirate Orcs, Ugni, Renegades, Torchlight, Lizards. That's 4 teams. There are more Patreons. Fanath, Britonian. That's 5 teams that we've just detailed this. So if that's 5 teams per month from third parties, that's, you know, flipping 60 teams a year, something like that. I don't know. Maybe we'll tone that down and go 50 teams a year, and then, well, Punga will probably do a Kickstarter.
Plus
with
a few Kickstarters, yeah.
So yeah, we're probably looking at 50 to 60 great third-party teams per year. So, and as Ben said, brew the rules. Play what you want to play.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I think that's something
we should do that. We should do that at some point. That would be a good episode topic.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Right, guys in chat, thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us. Hopefully, it's just been great chatting with you guys. It's been brilliant. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of you at Warhammer World next week. I'm going to try and do a travel vlog. I've never done one before. Might feel like a bit of a fool doing it, but actually it should be really good fun. Trips won't be there, which is very sad.
No. And ironically, the thing I wouldn't be there for got rearranged to next Tuesday, so I could have.
What?
No.
Yeah. Thank you, Train Stark.
Oh.
Yeah.
Come along anyway. Come on.
So I shall be now sitting, working, watching the chat, getting extremely jealous.
That is the worst. And a final check-in here. Is chat network externality is a heck of a thing. I don't even know what that is, let alone Games Workshop. Who are the most annoying linemen? Dwarf blockers. Yeah. Baron, thanks guys. Great episode. Lars, every time the fat rat comes around on the turntable, I get the urge to print him. Do, and then put him in a sock and beat up your worst enemy. And with that bombshell, guys, thank you very much for hanging out and playing some Blood Bowl BT. Thanks very much. Trips, enjoy your Sith backlight. And guys, we'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking and printing and assaulting people in socks.
In socks or with socks? That's interesting.
I mean, how big are the socks? How small are your socks?
Depends how long you want for the reach.
Yes. Gym sock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a good distance.
Oh, Matt says they've cancelled the train strikes. Oh, Trips, you may be having to work.
Yeah,
away.
they moved. We had to move the whole thing, so very annoying.
Simon says, see you in Nottingham. Oh, God, it's going to be good fun. It's going to be good fun. Right, guys, catch you soon.